Hey Aries, welcome to your March 2023 reading for the month of March. If this is your rising or sun sign, could be your moon sign. We're going to start by taking a look at which area of life this is kind of pulling into focus. So I am doing something a little bit different this month. It's probably going to change up next month as well, but thought I would incorporate kind of like one of my new favorite decks. So which area of life is coming up for Aries that needs to be kind of focused on? So this will kind of determine the direction of the reading, like what we're actually looking at. So what we have here is the 8th house. Now we'll keep that in mind. I'm just going to put that off to the side and then we're going to pull your cards for the month. Remember that we're taking a look at the beginning, middle, and end of the month. I know I've been talking about starting to do astrology videos, which that will be on the horizon, but probably not for a couple more months. But we do have some interesting astrology for the month of March, so I would definitely pay attention to that. All right, and take a look at also what's coming up as a challenge for you this month. All right, and the spiritual advice that's coming through as well. Had to feel that one out. Love the spiritual advice that's coming through. So, all right, Aries, let's see what we've got going on for you this month. So let's start by taking a look at the area of life that your reading is taking place in, what this is calling into question or placing your attention on, calling your attention towards for the month of March. So we're looking at the 8th house. Now, the 8th house sometimes gets a bad rap. It's a house of transformation. Yes, it's a house of like deep hidden knowledge. It's a house of like magic and sex and, you know, the taboo and the things that are fringe and edgy and whatnot. But it's also the house of other people's resources. So this could actually be talking about either physically like other people's resources in terms of like money or their assets, like people that you're connected to in business, say like a business partnership, or maybe it's an actual relationship, or maybe it has to do with family dynamics and the resources that are connected to you, right? So in whichever way that makes sense. Sometimes people talk about this having to do with like things like debts as well, like taxes and whatnot. And, you know, that wouldn't be too surprising, but, you know, also consider, I think the deeper meaning with the 8th house really has a lot to do with the transformative power. Also just like our personal power, our personal authority, but the transformative process that we can go through. And sometimes that can be really uncomfortable because it can have to do with loss, or it can have to do with things that we fear losing or our fears around that, right? Like the things that we might want to kind of turn our heads away from and not necessarily look towards. So like these deeper kind of spaces in our life, these deeper feeling spaces, these deeper meaningful spaces. And, you know, yes, definitely our fears. And it can be around like the things that feel like if we were to move through them could be really transformative in our life. So a really, really deep house is what we're starting out with. By the way, I love this card. It is absolutely gorgeous. This is definitely, you can see why this is becoming one of my new favorite decks if you're also a tarot and oracle card geek like I am. So we're taking a look at how the month is progressing. We start off with the 4 of Pentacles, we move into the Chariot, and we finish off the month, we round off the month with the 6 of Cups, which I think is kind of lovely. Definitely, well, we'll come back to that. When we look at what's coming up as a challenge for you, we're taking a look at the Temperance, and your spiritual guidance is the Sun, and I love this. So let's start to dig in. And remember, the themes that I was talking about here are how to apply the reading to your life, right? To what area of your life feels like that applies to. So this is just something I'm experimenting with. I'm trying it out. So let me know, either DM me or let me know in the comments if this is something that feels I don't know, feels like something that you like and you want me to continue. I'm probably going to play with it for a little bit longer. So anyway, let's get into it. So we start off with the 4 of Pentacles, right? And I'm just going to say, like, this is not a time for you to hide your gifts or to become miserly about the gifts that you have, right? So often with the 4 of Cups, we've reached some point of stability where it's like it probably took something for us to get there. Like we had to work hard to get to this place, and it's like, okay, I finally feel like I'm standing on solid ground. I finally feel like I'm able to maybe like rest for a minute, and I feel protected, I feel stable, and I'm afraid for anything to shake this up and change it, which the 8th house can actually come in and be like, guess what? Things are going to be shaken up maybe a little bit, and there might be some change, right? So this could be bringing up any concerns or fears that you actually have around that like hard-won stability or safety, especially with to do with maybe finances or resources like we were just talking about, right? So this can come up at the beginning of the month, maybe some themes around this. Definitely if you're someone who offers your services to the world and does something, that is like, I don't know, coaching, or I don't know, even accounting could be a service to the world, right? So just like something that you're offering up as a service, or maybe you've been holding off from doing that, those themes can be coming up, because one of the things about the 4 of Pentacles is like inside of that desire to not have things really change or be shifted too much and wanting to keep that stability, it can become this energy that feels a little bit guarded and miserly. So just kind of not like wanting to guard and not necessarily share, right? And sometimes this can have to do with sharing the things that are of value that we actually possess, which yes, could be money, but it also can be our gifts, like what we have available to us that we actually could share with the world, and we're choosing not to, or having fears around doing that. So I feel like that is a really interesting card to come up for the beginning of the month. And what you're getting in the middle of the month, like as we move into the middle of the month, we're taking a look at the Chariot card, right? And this is all about getting in alignment so that you can move forward without any blockages, right? Like the Chariot is, and in this one, yes, I love it. This deck doesn't show, some decks actually show like reins going to the horses, but they're not actually meant to be any reins there, because the thing that powers the Chariot forward, and the thing that allows for the rider to go forward and not have to direct the horses in any particular way, is this perfect and complete alignment with everything. They are all acting as one. One of the things that I actually like about this particular card too is that we see the shadow and the light. We see both of them coming together. The things that we perceive as shadow and light being completely aligned with ourselves. And there's almost like this kind of trinity that happens when we're in that space where we can blend together everything and still be cosmically connected to all of our energy centers, the main energy centers that come through, and really be led through. Like this sun disc here, we could even say is like really connected to the solar plexus and the will of moving forward. The Chariot is forward movement, but it's forward movement rapidly and in a beautiful way, in a seamless way, with our intentions when they are aligned, right? So like what you think, what you feel, and your actions and your words being aligned, being all in one, right? And so this is a theme that's going to come up in the center of the month, right? And then we move into the end of the month and we have the 6 of Cups, right? The 6 of Cups can be some really beautiful energy, right? Sometimes this can be somebody coming in from your past. Now, given that what we're talking about is this particular area of life, that could be having to do with someone that is really close to you, like family. Maybe it has to do with a family member or something of that nature. So this could be somebody coming in from your past that has to do with this particular area of life that you're dealing with. And also, the feelings that are given in the 6 of Cups are really just like this beautiful nostalgic feeling, this almost kind of like innocence and presence, a remembrance of what it was like to feel unencumbered, to feel present and free. Like if you can remember what it was like to, I don't know if any of you ever did this, but to play outside and find honeysuckles and, pull out the center and suck on the center for the, that little just sweet little dewdrop, it almost kind of like sized of like sweetness that you get from the flowers, right? Just moments like that where life felt full and beautiful, and even in the stillness and the ordinary moments, there was so much that felt so big and so grand, and the world felt open and like full of possibility, and at the same time really safe. And maybe even if you didn't have a safe childhood, you can probably remember moments where you had some aspect of these kinds of feelings. And so these are some really lovely feelings that I think are coming in if you're working with this energy, if you're working with like, you know, opening this up and moving into a space of alignment, and then coming into this kind of feeling towards the end of the month. Now, when we look at what feels like a challenge for you, I think that there's something in your experience throughout the month that feels like there are different aspects of either yourself as a person or your different areas of your life that feel like they're coming up as a challenge to blend harmoniously. So a really good example of this that I like to give is like the work home, like our work life and home life, right? And how like sometimes that can be really difficult to blend together. Like maybe it's not working harmoniously, or aspects of yourself where, like, another example of this could be if you're someone who is spiritual, but there are many people in your life or many social circles in your life who are unaware that you have certain kinds of open beliefs, or, you know, whatever it is, right? So it's just like, it can feel like there are these disjointed parts of yourself that feel difficult to blend. Because when this card is upright, when this card is actually working, you know, in unison with everything, it feels like there's a harmonious blending of your life to create something completely new. Like either a completely new path that is a blended path, or like, you know, new way of perceiving or thinking or being, right? So just something to consider is how that might be showing up as a challenge for you. And then with your spiritual guidance, what we have showing up is the sun. And I really love that we have the sun showing up. You know, this is very much connected to, again, like that sun, the center, your will, right? And I feel like the feelings of nostalgia and the feelings that feel like really beautiful and lovely really show up in the sun as well, because the sun is just like living from your heart space, living from, you know, remember that the sun is connected to Leo, right? And Leo is that authentic, like big, living, beautiful, expansive kind of like light, golden, warmth kind of feeling, right? And so normally what we see is a young child that is on a horse bareback and naked under the sun and just seems really joyous. And it's like remembering that kind of freedom and that kind of the feelings I was talking about with this particular card as well, is right? Like it's remembering that feeling of openness, and when you are free and full of life, when life feels amazing and beautiful and you feel like it's just so abundant, if you can find the places in your life where you can feel that abundance, even if you're not in a place that feels necessarily super abundant right now, this is only going to benefit you, right? It's like, it's not up to anyone else or the world to make you feel this way, but if you can find the places for yourself where you feel genuinely appreciative, and you feel like, I can recognize that as wealth, I can recognize that as abundance, I can recognize this, you know, maybe you have half of a day where you just have it to yourself, like recognize what you can do in that space to feel like you can step into this level of open, abundant, beautiful, like arms wide open kind of feeling, you know. And there is a kind of youthfulness that comes with that, right? Because like, as you know, as we become adults, I think that the world and circumstances and things can have us just feel kind of beat down or weighed down or whatever. And so like, I feel like there's this kind of like opening experience that's happening here in these particular cards, right? Like you have the opportunity to move into this energy, and I think you're being encouraged to move into this energy. And I think part of this is actually really paying attention to how you are aligned, right? That's one of the big pieces. So that's what I have for you going on this month, Aries. Definitely, if you haven't checked out your last moon reading, check that out. Although in a few more days, I will have the next moon reading coming out for all of the signs. So I will see you in one of those videos, and I will talk to you soon. All right, bye.